What's going on, guys? Messi here and welcome to a brand new video and welcome to your daily dose of transfer gossip. And today, as always, we have got confirmed news to go through as well as the rumours. So just before we get started, if you could do our good stuff by leaving a like rating, press the subscribe button if you're new, and press the bell notification next to it so you never miss an upload. My previous video will be down below in the description box, and today's question of the day: who has been your club's best player so far this season? The very first bit of news today comes from El Gol Digital. They're saying Atletico Madrid are considering a move for Real Betis defender Mandy. The 28-year-old Algerian international, who was linked to Atletico over the summer, he is thought to have a release clause around 30 million euros. Betis, however, are trying to get him to sign a new contract, and in that deal, it does make his release clause go from 30 mil to 60 million. So if Atletico want to get him cheaper, they've got to pay the release clause, the current 30 million, as early as possible pretty much, which is January 1st. The Telegraph are saying that Chelsea manager Frank Lampard will assess the form and fitness of Antonio Rudiger, that's before making a move for Nathan Ake. And now bear in mind, Chelsea apparently do have a buyback clause in the contract of Nathan Ake, and it'd be around £40 million. Chelsea have been impressive so far this season, but if you were to pinpoint one area which you know what, they can definitely improve there, it would be the defensive side of things. Because they are scoring a lot of goals, their attack's doing very good, but to counteract it, the defence, they're conceding a lot of avoidable goals. Would Nathan Ake be the answer to that? We'll have to wait and see, but I think it'll definitely improve their defence as a whole. Bologna will set their sights on Everton striker Moise Kean if they fail to land Zlatan Ibrahimovic in January, and this story is according to Corriere dello Sport. Ibrahimovic looks set to rejoin Milan after calling time on a successful 2-year spell at LA Galaxy in November, though the move to AC Milan still isn't finalised. Various reports in Italy are saying Cedric could be heading back to the Serie A to join AC Milan. The Southampton right-back spent the second half of last season on loan at rivals Inter, but has struggled for playing time since returning to England. His contract does expire in the summer, so he would be available for a very cut-price deal, or potentially on a free in a few months' time. Crystal Palace were on the verge of completing a deal for Genoa forward Christian Kouame in January, but a season-ending cruciate injury scuppered the deal according to Gazzetta dello Sport. The Italian paper says the fee had been set at around 22 million euros on 19 million pounds, but again the injury has stopped the transfer going ahead. Another forward in Italy linked to a move to Palace is going to be Fabio Borini, and this one's according to the Evening Standard. They're saying Palace have contacted AC Milan about the possibility of signing the former Liverpool forward. It would be an initial loan deal, potentially the option to buy, and he might be their backup option to Kouame. The Sunday Mirror are saying that Arsenal are leading a group of Premier League clubs who want to bring on loan Roma star Chris Smalling back to English football next summer. Of course, he's still on loan to Roma from Manchester United, and Roma really want to make it a permanent basis. But he's doing that well for Roma that so far he's blinked to Juventus and Inter Milan, the top two teams in Italy right now. And as for Arsenal, they definitely need to improve their defence, because if you just watch them, you see how bad it is. But would Chris Smalling improve them? Like I said before, he's doing very well for Roma, but his final season for Manchester United, it wasn't too great. Tottenham manager Jose Mourinho has made Edin Dzeko one of his top transfer targets for the upcoming transfer window. The Mirror claims the London outfit will send scouts to watch the Roma striker in action, that's as the Portuguese manager looks for cover for Harry Kane. Dzeko is getting on a little bit now, but he's still definitely a guaranteed goal scorer. He's done it at every club he's been at pretty much, the likes of Wolfsburg, Manchester City and now Roma. And moving on, according to L'Equipe, a very short one, they're saying Inter Milan are in touch with 33-year-old Chelsea striker Olivier Giroud to camp. He would potentially be available because Chelsea, because of no transfer ban now, they can bring players in, and it means they're pretty less reluctant to sell the likes of Giroud, who before, they were a good squad cover, but because they can now replace him means they aren't really as crucial to the squad. And that ties into the next story, saying that Juventus and Inter are plotting a move for Chelsea fullback Marcos Alonso. The Blues had their transfer ban lifted recently, prompting reports they are set to invest in the first team in January. And that will leave room for the London side to offload some unwanted players, and it looks like Marcos Alonso is on that list. My guess is that Giroud could be on there as well because his contract is expiring. Same applies to Pedro. A very short one from Bleacher Report is that Tottenham have now made formal contact with Juventus over defender Demiral. He is apparently available for transfer in the upcoming window because Juventus, they're deciding whether to sell him or Rugani, and Demiral has been linked to Arsenal and many other Premier League sides on top of Tottenham. In fact, a couple of days ago it was Manchester United, and the rumoured fee for him is around €30 million. Apparently Mourinho wants to rebuild his defence, and the only player safe right now is Toby Alderweireld. Thiago Silva does not have the confidence of his PSG teammates anymore in big matches, and therefore may not have his contract renewed according to Le Parisien. The defender's deal is up at the end of the season, just like Edinson Cavani's, but the centre-back now faces a fight to convince his employers that he's worthy of a new deal. And he has been there since the very start of the rebuild under the new owners at Paris Saint-Germain, probably about 7 years ago now. And despite his age, he's still one of the better centre-backs in European football because his reading of the game is just so good. Barcelona boss Ernesto Valverde has hinted that midfielder Arturo Vidal could move to Manchester United, and apparently they've offered around £13 million for the 32-year-old. He has been linked to Inter Milan alongside Manchester United, and that does seem to be his preferred destination. But Valverde basically says that Barca right now have too many midfielders, and he might also be hinting at Rakitic's departure. Sport media set are saying that Inter Milan are set to offer Argentine forward Lautaro Martinez a new contract. It will remove his current £94 million release clause, and instead it would up it to around £200 million. He has went to Manchester City and also Barcelona recently, for Barca a long-term replacement for Luis Suarez, and for City maybe a long-term replacement for Sergio Aguero. Various sources are saying that Arsenal are promising one big money defensive addition in January to every single manager they're interviewing. Leipzig's Upamecano and Barca's UMTITI were the targets in the summer window, but instead they opted to pursue the signing of Saliba, who's currently loaned to Saint Etienne, and David Luiz from Chelsea. Benfica's Ruben Diaz is also thought to be a target now. Koulibaly is also wanted, but apparently is deemed far too expensive. And Samuel Umtiti also features in the next one because L'Equipe are saying that Manchester City are considering a January approach for the Barca defender. They haven't said how much it would cost them, though other places are suggesting around €50 million, and he's not really getting too much first team football right now at Barcelona. And as for Manchester City, they're currently 14 points behind Liverpool, and they're having a fair amount of defensive issues. And the defensive issues come down to two things in my opinion. Number one is the unfortunate injury to Laporte, who is close to returning now, about a month and a half away, but he has missed pretty much the whole of the season. And the second one is they never replaced Vincent Kompany. L'Equipe also mentioned that Umtiti isn't really desperate to leave Barcelona, in fact he wants to stay, but because of his lack of game time, it could tempt him to go elsewhere and potentially try a different challenge. And next up, the Metro are saying that Real Madrid will try to tempt Arsenal into selling Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, and to do so, they'll offer them Luka Jovic in return. Jovic has made no impression since joining the Bernabeu side in the summer from Frankfurt for a fee of around €60 million. And maybe they're growing a bit impatient with him, and they could use him as some kind of make weight in a deal for Aubameyang. And the Mirror do say Aubameyang has pulled out of contract talks with Arsenal and is ready to quit the club in the summer. And this is the thing now for Arsenal, and as a Liverpool fan I can say we've been through this as well. When you're not in the Champions League for a successful amount of years, it becomes very difficult to get out of that. Unless you hire a world-class manager or your board fully backs whoever comes in next, it can be a very long way to getting back to where they were. And because of no Champions League football, it makes their best players like Aubameyang want to go elsewhere to get the European football, as Europa League doesn't quite cut it. Manchester United midfielder Paul Pogba is determined to leave the club in the summer, with Real Madrid confident they can negotiate a reduction on United's £126 million asking price, as according to L'Equipe. The outlet also claims they expect Pogba to complete a move to Real Madrid before the start of Euro 2020. He made it very obvious over the summer that he wanted to leave Manchester United, and either return to Juventus or a move to Real Madrid was on the cards. But it looks like, or at least it seems that Real Madrid do need to sell a couple of players first to bring players in, because they're about £80 million short of financial fair play. And that moves into the next story from El Desmarque. They suggest that Madrid, they're preparing to offer James Rodriguez and Gareth Bale to United as part of a swap deal for Paul Pogba. It makes sense because if his £126 million asking price is too much, offering two players that are on the fringe at Real Madrid anyway, it takes that price down massively. Chelsea are ready to make a club record offer to Borussia Dortmund star Jadon Sancho, while Manchester City have backed out of the race to sign him. Manchester United are also said to be desperate to land the England international, but the Daily Mail claims that Chelsea have made him the top transfer target after the transfer ban was lifted. The Blues will have to offer upwards of £100 million though, and they have been given a boost as the Mirror say Man City will not act on their option to bring him back. But despite all the persistent reports saying that the youngster is unhappy in Germany, Michael Zorc, or Michel Zorc, I'm not sure how you say his name, he said there's no chance that Jadon Sancho leaves Dortmund in the winter. And a rumour that has been going around for some time now is going to be Haaland of Red Bull Salzburg linked to RB Leipzig in the Bundesliga. And Leipzig's manager Nagelsmann has said he doesn't think a deal will be done for the striker, and he also spoke about his ambition to manage Barcelona one day. But that, guys, is going to be it for this video. So if you could do that good stuff by leaving a like rating, press the subscribe button if you're new, and press the bell notification next to it so you never miss an upload. My previous video will be down below in the description box, and the current schedule every day either at 8 AM UK time or 6 PM UK time, there will be a new transfer episode. So thank you for watching this video, I'll see you next time.